With the Nintendo Switch 2 getting its official announcement trailer dropped last week, we finally got a look at the Switch's successor. And even though it was a little lackluster for some, mainly due to the leaks that were all pretty much right on the money, I absolutely loved it, and it has got me so hyped for this coming year. However, with Nintendo being Nintendo, stating that the next direct won't be until April 2nd, we are left to wonder what games we can expect for the launch of the system. So with that being said, let's take a look at some games that I feel like make the most sense, or have the most potential to release within the first 6 months. So sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. Beginning with the obvious, we of course have Mario Kart 9, as shown in the announcement trailer. Being the first mainline Mario Kart game since 2014's Mario Kart 8, and of course the much superior Mario Kart 8 Deluxe of 2017. And as many people have pointed out so far, it looks as if there is a possibility of up to 24 characters on the track this time around, doubling the amount of the previous entry of only 12. Which definitely makes a statement that this is a next-gen title, with the original Switch most likely not being able to run smoothly with that many characters on the screen at one time. Also, the potential for a new direction this time around, possibly including maybe them utilizing some open world mechanics, could be pretty sweet as you get to drive around to each course. This game will make such an incredible launch title with the potential for so many people to immediately jump in online and play with some friends. And the amount of traffic it'll receive from streamers will definitely be some great advertisement for Nintendo. Metroid Prime 4 was announced all the way back in 2017, originally being developed by Bandai Namco, but then later on in 2019, it was of course announced to have been scrapped and given to the very well-equipped Retro Studio for a complete overhaul. And that was it, until June of 2024 when finally the first trailer was revealed and looked just so gosh darn beautiful, it was awesome. With Samus exiting her spaceship like a boss and immediately throwing down with the space pirates and encountering the presumed antagonist, Sylux, a rival bounty hunter for Metroid Prime hunters. And with a release date of 2025, one can only imagine that it would definitely be a cross-gen title for the original Switch and the Switch 2. With how good the gameplay looked, it is no doubt that it will look even better on the new hardware, and would make a perfect launch title for the upcoming Switch 2. Visions of Mana was the much-anticipated mainline return to the franchise, and I feel that it delivered on every level. I absolutely adored being able to jump back into one of my favorite RPG franchises after playing through the Trials of Mana remake, in awe of how spot on they were able to recreate a world I loved and were able to stay true to the original. With a simple storyline, engaging 3D combat, gameplay that is modern yet retains the same feel of the original games, complete with beautiful artwork, character design, and some truly memorable music by Hiroki Kikuta, Sakito, and Yamazaki, make for a nostalgic trip back to when action RPGs were simple yet fun as hell. It reminded me a lot of the Dragon Quest XI Definitive Edition, keeping with its simple turn-based roots. And speaking of definitive editions, having a Visions of Mana Definitive Edition would be so sick. Maybe being able to fix some of the frame rate issues and having some cool add-ons would be the perfect inclusion for the inaugural Switch 2 library. With a new gimmick seemingly being a mouse function with one or even both Joy-Cons, due to that little optical sensor, and the fairly obvious tease by Nintendo and having them scurrying around like little mice, complete with the shoulder buttons looking like cute little mouse ears. I mean, it was just all there. But what has me the most excited is that the Switch 2 could potentially have such a great list of mouse-centric games, and number one on that list for me would of course be The Sims. With the original Sims being one of the first PC games I ever played, and I absolutely fell in love with that franchise. Yet it wasn't until the PS4 era that they were finally able to bring it to consoles in its full state with the release of The Sims 4. Before that, it was just cute little spin-off baby time games like My Sims, and hey, if you like those games, by all means. However, what would be an incredible move, instead of doing the obvious like just re-releasing The Sims 4, which would be great, would be to release a Legacy Collection, featuring the first 3 games with all expansion packs and DLC included. Being able to use the mouse while in docked mode to build and decorate, and then being able to continue on the go, take my money right now, you can just have it. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth would both make a ton of sense, and be an incredible addition within the first 6 months of the Switch 2's release. Obviously 2 games that would have had zero chance of ever releasing on the original Switch. However, with a more powerful console being compared to something like a PlayStation 4 or even a PlayStation 4 Pro, Remake would run perfectly. And with Nintendo's ability to squeeze as much power as possible out of their hardware, it wouldn't be a surprise at all if Rebirth also got a release. Especially with the sales of Rebirth not meeting the expectations of Square, this would be a perfect fit in having a whole new market of Nintendo fans on board. Halo, the Master Chief Collection, has been rumored to be coming to the Switch 2, with Microsoft looking to work even closer with Nintendo in this coming generation. It would make perfect sense. Being out since 2014, the Switch 2 would obviously have no problem running the set of classic games and would be such a standout for online gameplay. Assuming that Nintendo will restructure their online infrastructure to make the online playable, playing Halo 2 and 3 online would be such an incredibly fun experience, and would set such a precedent with Microsoft putting one of their most beloved franchises on a Nintendo platform. Persona 3 Reload was the highly anticipated remake of many Atlus's fans' favorite game, Persona 3. Bringing Persona 3 up to date with modern JRPGs with an overhaul of the gameplay featuring exceptional turn-based combat and life sim mechanics. The updated graphics and art style are absolutely gorgeous, as well as updated character models. Originally releasing on the PS4, PS5, Steam, Xbox One, and Xbox Series, this game would make the perfect fit on the Switch 2. And it would fit perfectly right next to the incredible Persona 5 Royal. Stardew Valley was one of the must-play games during the first years of the Switch, the premier cozy farm sim building on the very best of the Harvest Moon games. Indie developer Eric Barone, aka Concerned Ape, built a world that people love and still visit to this day, as well as the game still being supported. And with his upcoming follow-up, The Haunted Chocolatier, we can only hope that Eric is planning a release for the Switch 2's launch window. Not much is known about this game, but the premise seems to be you work as a chocolatier in a local confectionery shop. The game offers action RPG elements as you interact with townsfolk and ghosts in this future life sim classic. However, with Stardew still getting the love and support that it deserves from Eric, Haunted Chocolatier has been on the back burner for a bit. But hey, hopefully Eric sees this video and gets right back on it. Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios' Game of the Year winner, was and still is a massive hit for fans of high fantasy, turn-based combat, and Dungeons & Dragons fans alike. This game being so special for so many people out there, the fact that this could be on the Switch 2 would be such a hit. And with the strong possibility of that mouse function, this could also be one of those games that does so well on the platform. With the ability that people have playing it on their PS5, for a lot of people, they miss the mouse functionality of the PC version. Fans, of course, would also have the ability to play this on the go, playing it on the train, the bus, at your family's house, at your kid's birthday, whatever. Your priorities are your priorities. This game would be incredible. Tekken 8 has received critical acclaim since its release of January 2024, praising the game for its technical updates and rework to provide a more cinematic fighting experience, with a focus on stage destruction. And with all character models and voice acting being completely new, featuring 2 different story modes, incredibly aggressive fighting game mechanics including the rage and heat systems that reward players for being even more aggressive this time around instead of relying too much on defense, providing a fast-paced fighting experience altogether. Tekken 8 would be an incredible addition to the Switch 2's initial lineup and would hit hard with longtime fans of the series as well as newcomers alike. Metaphor ReFantazio, another incredible JRPG experience, is a brand new IP from Persona creators Atlus. Released October of 2024, for every system except for the Switch, this would be such a huge win for the Switch 2, and would go a long way to show that the Nintendo's new generation is up to the challenge of keeping up with the current gen expectations, at least for the most part. Taking place in the kingdom of Uchronia, you are immediately met with a much darker and much more mature experience in comparison to the Persona series. With an incredible art design, gorgeous character designs, and a wonderful blend of action and turn-based combat set in the hyper-stylized version that Atlus fans have come to expect. Metaphor would again fit perfectly on this upcoming console, and I think would be a much welcome addition for not only Nintendo fans, but JRPG fans alike. Elden Ring by now should need no introduction. Winning Game of the Year back in 2023, and nearly winning Game of the Year back in 2024 due to its massive DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. It would immediately be a hit for fans of open-world action RPG adventures that are looking for a challenge, and maybe something a little bit more in-depth than Tears of the Kingdom. As great as Tears of the Kingdom is, this just feels like an adult version of Zelda, to be honest. Which should come as no surprise, seeing as in an interview, the creator of Elden Ring, Miyazaki, stated that after playing through Breath of the Wild, he and his team were really inspired to make something on that grand of a scale, with their FromSoft mindset and approach, of course. With world-building support done by Game of Thrones author George R.R. Martin, this game felt like playing through a dark fantasy novel in all of the best ways. A Switch 2 version would make so much sense, potentially being as welcomed as Skyrim was on the original Switch, complete with a Link-inspired armor choice, or even having Epona as your mount. I just think it would be incredible, as well as possibly releasing it as a complete package with the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC packed in. And last up on this list, let's talk about a game that is already heavily rumored to be coming over, and that game is Starfield, Bethesda's latest entry, releasing back in 2023. This game left a lot to be desired by some people who have been anticipating its release for years at that point, with a lot of people not as happy with the space exploration, stating that the space travel didn't feel like a grand adventure with how the game relied too heavily on load screens and fast travel elements between planets. Which is totally fair and valid. However, having a game this massive and graphically intensive within the first 6 months or so of the console's release, I think would go a long way in again setting the Switch 2 apart from the original Switch for a lot of people, especially newcomers to the Switch family. Especially if Bethesda could work out all the bugs and glitches that were experienced in the original Starfield, even though, let's face it, the Bethesda glitch is pretty famous at this point. And there you have it, guys, my list of potential games for the launch window of the Switch 2. But what do you guys think? What are some games that you feel like have the most potential to either release on day one or within the first 6 months? Of course, let me know that and everything else in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. But most importantly, guys, as always, have yourself a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.